Have one of those mornings where you just know deep in your gut that peace and quiet aren't in the cards for you. That was me the day I watched Carol Hutchkins coming up my driveway through the falling snow binder clutched to her chest like she was protecting state secrets. She had this look in her eye that could probably curdle milk. That was my cue right there. This was about to be one of those days. And I'd just finished clearing my driveway, standing in my garage, feeling oddly proud of my brand new snowblower, the first real grown-up I'm doing all right. Purchase I'd made since my divorce. Red shiny cost me more than I should have spent, but it was mine. Walter, we need to talk. Her voice, I swear, could slice through the sound of the snowblower, the garage door, maybe even through my sanity. You ever meet someone so oblivious to hints that you could slam a door in their face and they'd just knock harder? That's Carol. She's the vice president of our HOA, but you'd think she was running the Supreme Court. Always looks like she's got a meeting with the president after yoga. And here she is eyeing my snowblower like she's about to auction it off for charity. She gets right to it. No chit-chat, just how much did that cost? Like I owe her a receipt. And before I can roll my eyes too, obviously she's cracking open that infamous binder. Community Enhancement Initiatives, it says, like that means anything. Carol launches into her pitch. Only 30% of residents have snow equipment. Driveways look unsightly. Some folks can't get out when it snows, and wait for it, the board wants to start a community sharing program. In plain English, folks like me who actually bought a snowblower are supposed to go around clearing everyone else's driveway, because that apparently is community spirit. I honestly waited for her to laugh. Spoiler, she didn't. So there I am trying to explain reasonably politely that no, I'm not running a free snow removal service. I just spent $800 on this thing. It's my property. Carol's quoting the HOA covenants back at me, digging through her binder, telling me about maintaining community values. I tell her, show me where it says I have to lend out my personal stuff to the whole block. She tries to spin it, calls me selfish. Yeah, that's the word that did it. Selfish. Like it's some kind of moral failing to want to keep the thing I worked for. She storms off, well, as much as you can storm off in the snow, leaving angry little boot prints and a headache brewing behind my eyes. Now I moved into this neighborhood after my marriage ended. Needed a change, wanted a clean start. Meadowbrook Hills seemed nice. Decent homes, good trees, safe streets. HOA rules were the usual. No garbage cans out front. Keep your grass tidy. No garish paint jobs. The first year, no problems. But then, Carol got elected. That's when everything went sideways. Suddenly we had rules for flower colors, time limits for holiday lights, you name it. By Sunday, I'm convincing myself this community sharing nonsense can't possibly go anywhere. Frank, our board president, is a decent guy. Surely he'll see how nuts this is. Tuesday rolls around, another fresh layer of snow. I clear my drive, man. It's satisfying to throw that snow in neat arcs, watching it land perfectly on the lawn. When I used a shovel, I'd be out there an hour back, aching, cursing every flake. With this machine, 20 minutes tops. I show up at the community center just before the HOA meeting starts. Place is fuller than usual. Clearly, Carol's been talking. I sit down next to Jerry, my neighbor, the kind of guy who's seen it all and doesn't mind stirring the pot. He leans over. Heard Carol's got it out for you. Word travels, I guess. The meeting starts. Carol's got props, photos of uncleared driveways, poster board, the works. She pitches her winter assistance program. People with equipment get put on a list, and when snow falls, they're assigned to help neighbors who need assistance. Voluntary, she says, except they'll be tracking participation. If you refuse too often, it goes on your homeowner file, whatever that means. The board isn't buying it. Tom, the treasurer insurance guy, naturally brings up liability. Sandra, the secretary, points out there's nothing in the rules that even allows this. Carol's getting frustrated, but Frank tables it, wants the HOA lawyer to take a look. Carol's not happy, but it gets dropped. Afterwards, Mrs. Peterson's sweet old lady whose driveway Carol had plastered all over her problem house's board comes over. She's embarrassed. I tell her if her son can't help, I'll clear her drive, no problem. Then, like a shark that smells blood, Carol's there whispering, so you'll help Mrs. Peterson, but not Deborah. You get to decide who's worthy of help. She leans in, voice low. You're going to regret making an enemy of me, Walter. Everyone violates something eventually. Yeah, that's when I knew this wasn't over. By the weekend, I get my first violation letter, trash cans out 3 minutes too long. 3 minutes, $50 fine. I check the footage, call Frank. He's apologetic, but Carol's in charge of compliance. He tells me to bring it up at the next meeting, maybe they'll waive it. Next, Carol and some new guys show up with a measuring tape doing a property inspection. Find a half-inch too tall blade of grass under snow, a non-approved light fixture mailbox, paint that's worn. Dennis, the new compliance officer, looks about ready to quit on the spot. Carol, ice cold. You'll be getting formal notices. I pour a bourbon before noon. Start reading the entire 47-page covenant doc seriously. There's rules for mulch color. I decide enough's enough. Monday morning, I list my snowblower for sale. Sell it in a day, hire a snow removal company, let Carol track that. Next meeting, Carol announces to the whole room that I sold my snowblower to avoid community responsibility. I point out calmly that the sharing program never passed. I remediate all my violations. I keep my property up. I help where I want when I want. Frank backs me. Meeting devolves. Turns out Carol's been nitpicking everyone. Garden gnome fines, crooked parking, wrong-colored welcome mats. The board finally passes a motion to review enforcement practices and put real checks in place. But Carol's not done. 2 weeks later, I get a city notice, unpermitted construction. I call, explain I haven't built anything, inspector comes, finds nothing. Obvious who filed the complaint. I call a lawyer. Turns out proving harassment by an HOA is tough, but filing false city reports, that's something else. My lawyer drafts a formal complaint. I start talking to neighbors. Turns out everybody's got a Carol story, petty complaints, threats, absurd citations. We start a petition. At the April meeting, the place is packed. The board reads out the petition, announces Carol's resigned from enforcement duties, and after some drama from the board entirely. She tries to deny it, but her resignation letter's right there. Storms out in a huff. New Vice President Jerry gets elected. Fines get reviewed and mostly dropped. For a minute, I think it's over. Then a couple weeks later, police cars on our street. Carol's getting arrested for vandalism and filing false reports. Turns out after losing her board seat, she spiraled doorbell cam, caught her spray painting a neighbor's garage at 2 a.m. The cops find files at her house, notes, photos, lists, everything she'd been using to harass half the neighborhood. She'd filed false animal complaints, bogus calls to CPS, made up health violations. Her obsession with HOA justice had become straight-up criminal. I end up testifying at her hearing. Carol's lawyer tries to paint her as a misunderstood community leader. The judge isn't buying it. She pleads out jail time, probation, restitution, and most importantly, no contact with any of us. After all that, the air in the neighborhood felt lighter. Jerry's a practical guy, focuses on real issues, drops the rulebook fascism. We rewrite the worst rules. HOA meetings become normal, block parties, cleanups, street repairs, not power trips. A funny thing happened, the neighborhood got closer. Instead of avoiding each other, we started actually talking, watching out for each other. Even Deborah Miller apologized to me, said she never asked Carol to intervene, and hired her own snow service after all that. I bought another snowblower eventually, a little one. Sometimes I use it, sometimes the service does. When Mrs. Peterson needs help, I help. Not because anyone tracks it, but because that's what neighbors do. Looking back, it wasn't ever really about the snowblower, it was about boundaries. About someone trying to control what I did with my time and my property, and me saying, nope, not today. I learned you've got to read the fine print document, everything, stand up for yourself, but also not let it eat you alive. Funny too, Carol's aggressive tactics brought everyone together, the exact opposite of what she wanted. Instead of cowing people, it united us. Forced us to fix the real problems, not just her petty grievances. I still live here. Life's pretty good. I help my neighbors, they help me. The HOA does its job, keeps things tidy, organizes events, but doesn't try to micromanage anyone's life. And every once in a while when I'm out with my snowblower, I think about that day Carol marched up with her binder. All that drama, all those lessons from one little machine. Sometimes you have to draw a line even if it seems silly at the time, because if you don't, the next thing you know, someone's measuring your grass in the snow. Now let me ask you, where do you draw your line? Would you have given in or pushed back? Ever had a neighbor or an HOA go way too far? I'd love to hear your story, because if I've learned one thing, it's that everybody's got one.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.